So a friend invited me today to come to a protest outside a theatre where the Dalai Lama was talking as part of some day of how to be happy sort of type thing, and how to think positively. I don't know exactly what it was. And there was about 150 people who were making a lot of noise with drums, saying false Dalai Lama, and complaining about the fact that they were part of a Buddhist group who have been banned, which all sounds very strange. And then there was all these people who are pro the Dalai Lama, saying His Holiness, he can put up with all this anger, which is just a bit strange because it was like they weren't addressing the other group. And I got my megaphone out and I said, so I'm a bit confused, which I was. Which one of you is right? Is it you? I said to the people on the right, and one person put their hand up yes. And obviously, is it you on the left? And one person put their hand up yes. So I was no better off really at that stage. And after a little while, a man came up to me. He was, as I would call it, in fancy dress as usual, and but he would call himself a policeman. And he basically said, "Listen, I don't know if you know what's going on in there, but the Dalai Lama's speaking in there, and they're here to disrupt him. And if you carry on the megaphone, you're going to be disrupting him more." And instead of doing what I basically need to do, and it never makes things worse, is to count to 30. And unfortunately, I didn't do that. And so instead of that, I got triggered right into, he was daddy, being bad with his authority, and I was little child, and there's no way I'm doing what you tell me to do. But, obviously I didn't say that, but I just came over, like, just being a bit of a tosser, and I, asked him, is it a request? And he said, yes, it's a request. And I said, well, that means I don't have to do it then, doesn't it? Like that. And, and after that, it was ridiculous because it was such a bad place to do megaphoning. There were loads of people making noise and he couldn't hear what I'm saying anyway. And and it was quite a reasonable request. But I just got triggered. And anyway, then my friend invited me to go and listen to the Dalai Lama for a little bit. When I say Dalai Lama, it was just a bloke in robes as far as I'm concerned. So I get there and there's a bloke in robes, and there's behind him another bloke in robes, a bloke sitting next to him, and another bloke sort of standing with a lectern. And then there were hundreds and hundreds of other blokes and women, of course, sitting there watching him. And, on the one hand, I felt like it's really good to be in the company of people who are interested in subjects like compassion and love and God and spirituality and and ethics, and I'm sure there were a lot of people in the healing arts there, if you can call it that, or the healing sciences, and it's good to see them there and to be with them. And on the other hand, it feels uncomfortable to me to see like the adoration that they have for him, and standing there, it's such an honour to have you here, and all the people are, listening. And I suppose what concerns me about it is how critical can you be of what he's saying if you have that kind of attitude to him. And there's lots of other problems with it. Anyway, I had my megaphone with me, and now I look back on it, I really regret not getting it out and asking, straight on the megaphone, can you tell me, please, are you more holy or less holy than anybody else in the room? But unfortunately, I didn't do that. So, if anybody gets the chance to be in a room with a Dalai Lama, or anybody else like that for that matter, whatever that means, and has a megaphone on them, please ask that question or any other relevant question. Anyway, so I listened to a little bit of what he had to say. I wasn't that into it, and I left, and I then went up to the policeman, or should I say the man, who was playing the role of a policeman, and I went up to him and I said to him, I just want to apologise for being a bit, argumentative, and it just wasn't necessary. And he said, thank you, it's been a long day, and I could just immediately, he melted, and at some stage in the conversation he said something like, I said to him, I like your first name, and he said, no, I'm not giving my first name. And I said, well, I want human contact with you. That's why I want it. He said, like, why do you need my first name? He said, I don't want to have human contact with you. You know, it was like really kind of, you know, and I take responsibility for that because I kind of started, I'm the one that started being an arse. He really was being fine. And it was just like, it felt such a sense of relief and such a sense of peace and happiness, to be honest, that I did that, especially reflecting on the fact that I was speaking to a friend and asking them, you know, like, how many times has this guy, or any police officer, but this guy, been apologised to by anybody in his job? You know, how often is he apologised to? And if he is, like, how often is he apologised to anybody, any member of the public, you know, who doesn't speak nicely to him? And I'm sure lots and lots of members of the public don't speak nicely to police officers, maybe for good reason. Well, that's not the point. So I just, like, you know, I just really doubt that he has had that happen to him a lot, if ever. And it feels like such a burden off my shoulders when and it's, you know, when I can just admit, all right, you know, I've done it again. I've been a bit of a tosser. I can apologise and clean up the mess, and he feels so much better. So yeah, there you go. Get apologising, folks. It feels great.